Thor Love and Thunder, 5 relationship lessons from the film, from Thor Love and Thunder. Am I live? The counter's not ticking over. I'm just going to continue and assume everything's working. So I saw Love and Thunder on Thursday. I've kept it away from you guys for the time being because I like to give us all time to see it. I'm never going to be one of those people that's going to do the review on the day because I'm not going to get into that spoiler culture. I'm not going to create content as knee-jerk reaction. I want to process it. I want to think about it. And I really want to give you all points that you can take away and maybe learn something about your relationships or about your life. So that's what we're getting into today. Before we do, quick intro. If you haven't met me before, I'm Cheryl Muir, relationship expert. I've been coaching for 8 years. I help women with their relationships. I help most women that I help are single women. I help them to fall in love, and they're generally very smart and very nerdy, very wonderful souls. And of course, welcome back to Love and Fandom. What we believe here is that the relationships we see on the screen help us to understand ourselves at a deeper level and have a better relationship with each other, especially in phase 4 of Marvel, which is very heavy on the emotions. Love and Thunder was all about love and relationships. And the reason I'm giving you five tips, 5 points about love and relationships, rather than psychoanalyzing or analyzing the relationships, is because it's a very self-aware movie. We see in Korg's conversation with Val, about her, having lost her girlfriend in battle. We see Thor explaining at the start how he's avoided love because of loss. It's a very self-aware movie, so they really do my job for me. So let's give you 5 things, 5 love themes and love lessons from Love and Thunder. 1, love makes you feel really shitty. There's that scene where Quill is talking to Thor and he's talking about having lost Gamora, right? It's the whole thing. It's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. And Thor has this thing of, I want to feel really shitty. It reminds me a bit of Dumb and Dumber, when he starts speaking to Mary at the end and he gets the old tongue twist and he's like, no, that's not what I meant. Yeah, he says he wants to feel really shitty, and they do make a joke of it. It does come good in the end, but I just want to debunk this myth. Love doesn't feel like shit. Love doesn't feel like shit. What feels really hard is loss, is grief, is heartbreak. Love is really pure. The way that I can describe love, and I know it's not always like this between people, but it's the feeling you have when you're with your pet, right? Your dog or your cat or a kitten or a puppy, like that feeling of just warmth and peace. That's love. That's what love is. It can be more complicated with people and our patterns, but love doesn't feel shitty. So let's just debunk that myth. It was a great line, but it's not reality. 2, revisiting an old love can close the chapter. This is true. This is true. And we see Thor and Jane reconcile that old relationship. I thought it was beautiful. I loved the montage of their relationship that we hadn't seen before between the Dark World and Ragnarok. We saw how their relationship ended. It made me really emotional. I loved their relationship. I've been very critical of their relationship in the past, but the way that it all ended is that they healed a lot of their old patterns. They healed a lot of their stuff. Is this possible in real life? Is this possible in your relationship? Yes, it is, but with a caveat. The caveat is that both people have to be willing. Both people have to be doing something differently. Both people have to have learned something about themselves through their own journey, through their own self-awareness, through hiring a coach, going to therapy, whatever it might be. And we see this with Thor and Jane, and we see them close the chapter on their relationship in a way that is so bittersweet. It made me cry at the cinema. I was crying within the first 10 minutes. The scene with Gore was just, I didn't expect that. I didn't expect the whole movie to be so emotional. Let me know in the comments below whether you expected that or not. I was crying a lot. I might cry talking about it today because I just love this film a lot. Some people hated it, which surprises me. I was surprised at how much I loved it. I was looking forward to it, but I didn't expect it to be as heartfelt, and that's the thing I really loved about it. I thought it'd be silly. I was prepared for silly, but wasn't prepared for all the feels. Lesson 3, people can change and relationships can heal. Again, this is true. People can change, but as with lesson number 2, we've got to make sure that both people have done something different. It reminds me of that meme of shall we try again? Have you changed? No. Okay, yes, let's try again. No, if people haven't changed, if people are not doing anything differently, the relationship's not going to change. But if someone has evolved, they've been through a lot, and they're willing to do something differently, yes, that relationship can heal, and we see that with them. It's beautiful. Point 4, loss can crack you open and let more love in. So I did not have, as someone on Twitter said, Thor being a a dad on my bingo card for this year, but here we are. I loved what they did with him. I didn't think we would see that, and here's why it's so emotional, it's so beautiful. We've talked throughout the Odinsons family drama, of which, by the way, this is part 6, out of order a little bit now, Love and Thunder, but we've been looking at Thor's patterns throughout every appearance in the MCU. And we've talked about his father, Odin, how Odin was a great king, but a shitty father. And so it's really beautiful how Thor, after everything he's been through, he's actually going to be a great dad. This is how we break the cycle. We do something different than our parents did and what their grandparents did, or what our grandparents, their parents did. We break the cycle, we do something different, and that's what we're here to do. That's what you're here to do if you choose to raise children. So I love that we saw that for him. Loss can crack you open and let more love in. That's what he chose to do with his now daughter. And I didn't know that's what Love and Thunder meant, and it was such a beautiful ending. So loss can crack you open. Lesson 5, loss can cause you to close off. It can. And the difference here is choice. The difference here is choice. And loss is hard. It's hard to lose things. It's hard to lose people you love. It's hard to lose things that you love. It's hard to lose your identity. Loss is hard. And it is badass and baller to experience that loss and decide that you're going to keep going and keep your heart open. It takes a lot of courage and a lot of strength. And you know what we see is that Val's closed off. Korg talks there, you closed off after your girlfriend died in battle. Thor explains that at the start, he pushed love away. But it doesn't have to be like that. And there is a grieving process. There is a grieving process, but it can crack us open. We've all heard of the Japanese pottery thing, right? Where something breaks and they fix it with gold. And the whole thing about the cracks is that's where the light gets in. It can crack us open. It doesn't have to close us off. For those of us that historically have been afraid of love, like the more avoidant types, it can feel a lot harder. But it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to close us off. And what I loved and what they showed so beautifully, I loved Val in this film. I loved her characterization. And I love that they showed that she's becoming a lot warmer as a person, right? She's a great king. She had a great bond with Jane. She had a sister again. She has a great relationship with Thor. We know it's not romantic. I don't think it ever will be. I don't think they'll go there. And why would they? It wouldn't make sense. I still think Sif is endgame. I still maintain Sif is endgame for Thor. But Val is opening up, right? She lost a kidney for Thor. It's much contrast to who we saw at the start of Thor Ragnarok. So love doesn't have to close you off. Now, bonus tips. And by the way, I'm having a real sad girl day today, and I've tried to shake it off, and I've done all the things I know how to do, and I still feel sad. So I'm just turning up and doing my job, but I'm probably going to cry a bit more. So it is what it is. So bonus points, bonus things that I noticed. Bisexual representation done right. Marvel did bi representation right. As a bi woman, I was really happy to see that. We just saw it done in a way that was casual, normal, inclusive. Love to see it. And it was done conversationally. It was beautiful. Another bonus, this idea of like the relationship to objects and the meaning we give to them, the relationship that Thor has to both Stormbreaker and Mjolnir, and he almost personifies them. And I don't think we've seen that before. We've seen him have a relationship with his hammer. I've talked about that in the Odinson family drama series. But we haven't seen him actually personify them like that and talk to each object as if it was a person. So that's something to think about. Do we have an object that we feel, notwithstanding objectophilia, which is something that I'm not qualified or specialised in, but do we have an object that's really meaningful to us and why? Another bonus point, this idea of like never meet your heroes, because Zeus was such a dick. And there's something to be said about don't put people on pedestals and we're all just people. We're all just people. I had someone on my TikTok the other day say something about celebrities. So I talk about celebrity crushes a lot on there because I think they're a great example. And she was saying they're just people. Well, of course they are. Of course they are. And we put people on pedestals for different reasons. But when we do that and we say, oh, this person's done something great, I could never do anything great because I'm different than them, we sort of let ourselves off the hook. So we have to realize we're all on the same level. Instead of looking up at them, we can look across and say, well, what have they achieved and how did they do it? Who did they need to become? What did they need to think? What did they need to do? How did they manage their day when things felt really hard? And how can I take on board that to become someone like them, rather than, oh, that this like godly thing, and I look up to them so much that I think that I can't possibly be great. And Thor learns that with Zeus, because Zeus is such a knob. Final bonus point, this concept that our power can hurt us, right? The power of Mjolnir is obviously causes Jane to pass, and that's not how it should be. Like when we draw power from something, it shouldn't hurt us. So if you're drawing power and energy from something and it's draining you, that's something to look at. So examples might be, for example, TikTok, scrolling a lot, of which I've done this weekend, which I know better than to do that. It might be giving you a boost initially, but is it actually draining your energy? Is it draining the life force from you? If something's taking your life force, it's costing you too much, because the cost is you and that cost is too high. I haven't got this on my notes, but let's talk about Loki, because they didn't really refer to him in the movie. There was the tattoo on Thor's back, of course, and they do refer to him in the montage in Korg's story at the beginning. But to not have Thor discuss this, to not have him talk about it in a conversation, maybe talk to Jane or talk to someone and be like, I miss my brother, I miss him. And out of all the people that I've lost, I miss him the most. A lot of people have published close-ups of the tattoo on his back, and there's a scroll and it's got Loki on there with the question marks. He's not really sure if he's dead. He hopes he isn't. And it's got Natasha, Tony, Mother, Father, Heimdall. Didn't have the Warriors 3 on there, who are referred to in a very dismissive way in this film. But I'm not sure what my point was with that. My point is that Thor's lost a lot of people, and the person that he misses the most is his brother, and the fact that that wasn't even really addressed seemed like it was in bad taste. Not the biggest fan of Taika, if I'm honest. I especially the way he portrayed Loki. But this movie did have a lot of heart. I just feel like if we're going to talk about Thor's heart and his emotions, like of course he loves Jane. He's always loved Jane, but he loves his brother a lot too. You know, he didn't talk about that. And this is him processing and moving on, and that's why Loki wasn't in it. I know many of us hoped that he would be, but in retrospect, it wouldn't have made sense, because this is about him moving on now without them. But I thought it was lacking in taste, and it wasn't fitting with Thor's character for him not to at least talk about it. That's what I feel anyway. So those 5 lessons again. 1 is this concept that love makes us feel really shitty. It doesn't, but grief and loss does. 2, revisiting an old love can close the chapter. It can if both people are willing. 3, people can change and relationships can heal. True, but again, both people have to be willing. They have to do something differently. They have to be on a healing journey, coaching, therapy, counselling, etc. 4, love can crack you open and let more love in. It can, and it's pretty baller when you allow yourself to do that. It takes a lot of strength and courage. And 5, loss can cause you to close off. Also, it can, and that's a choice, conscious or unconscious. And then we covered some bonus points around bisexual representation done right, relationships to objects and the meaning we give them, never meet your heroes, our power can hurt us, and also Loki, which they didn't refer to in the film. Anyway, that's all for today. If you want more from me, obviously subscribe to the channel, comment down below, like the video. Videos are usually better than this. I'm having a really bad day and I'm not on form, but I did my best. There's also free trainings on my website. Go check them out. Fangirl Obsession Decoded, and So Your Celebrity Crush Found Love. There's also going to be something on the Sxual signature archetypes very soon, so check back for that. Please do support us. The channel is a baby. The channel is growing excruciatingly slowly. I would love for it to grow much faster. So please support me with that. And when we get to 3,000 subscribers, I am going to do a giveaway. So I do want to give back to you all for supporting me. That's all for now. Thank you for watching Love and Fandom. And remember, you are absolutely worthy of love. Bye for now.